Hi, I'm Gillian McNulty. I'm 39 years of age and I have cystic fibrosis. I've been on the new groundbreaking drug Orkambi for the past 2.5 years and it's completely transformed my life. That's even an understatement to what it's given me back. Orkambi has actually given me my life back, a life that I thought was gone and that was slipping away. I've decided to record this video and send it to the NCPE HSE panel who sent forward the recommendation for Orkambi. Now, I know that you base your decision on medical and scientific data, but I do think it's also important that you see the human side of Orkambi and what it's done. I did write you a letter back in December when Tony O'Brien had come out and said that Orkambi wouldn't be funded for cystic fibrosis patients in Ireland. Obviously, you can't hear my tone of voice in a letter, you can't hear the emotion in my voice in a letter, so I've just decided that I need to send this video and hope that it makes a difference. I should say that I've never made public my lung function percentage, either before Orkambi, during Orkambi, or after Orkambi. But I think that it's important that I do and that I'm totally honest with people so that they can see exactly where I was at before I started the trial and where I'm at now. They can see the bigger picture. I will also be sharing this video on social media with the CF community. A lot of them already know what Orkambi has done for me, and they know that I'm very passionate about getting Orkambi, about getting access to Orkambi for everybody in Ireland. In the 2 to 3 years before I started Orkambi, I was in a sharp decline. My cystic fibrosis was getting worse, and nothing I did actually made a difference. I was very compliant. I was in and out of hospital every 4 to 5 weeks. I did everything I should have done. I was exercising, I was eating well, but no matter what, I was slipping very, very quick, and nothing I could do would change that. The majority of my hospital stays were about 6-7 weeks. Now, they went on longer. I would have had a lot of 2-month admissions, maybe 2.5 months, but my standard admissions were 6-7 weeks. I had become resistant to a lot of the antibiotics because I'd been on them so much, so it was getting harder and harder to treat my infections. A lot of people thought, you know, in the run-up to kind of taking Orkambi, that I was fine and I was healthy because I ran and I cycled. I pushed myself beyond limits that I was capable of doing, partly because I'm very stubborn and I won't let CF dictate how I'm going to live my life, and I will try and prove CF wrong, and I'll try and prove doctors wrong by saying I can do this if I'm told I can't. And a lot of people were under the impression that my lung functions were quite high. I had a lot of patients say to me, you know, but you're fine, there's nothing wrong with you. Even though when I was in and out of hospital every 4 to 5 weeks, they were like, there's nothing wrong with you, you're running the whole time, like, why would you be in and out of hospital? When in reality, they didn't know the facts. So I've decided to be honest and give the whole picture. In October 2012, my lung functions were 58%, which was pretty good. And by the time I went forward for the testing for Orkambi in May 2013, my lung functions had dropped to 41%. On the day, I was told that I literally just made it over what they should have been. In order to take part in the trial, your lung functions needed to be between 40% and 90%. So I just made it over the line. It was then a couple of weeks before I started the trial, and I started in July 2013. And my lung functions had dropped another 2%, so my lung functions were down to 39% by July 2013. So in the space of 10 months, my lung functions had dropped almost 20%, which is very, very sharp. It was a sharp decline. And, you know, things, I had started to get very scared because obviously I knew in the run-up, I knew I was going to go forward for the trial, but I was scared because my lung functions had dropped way, way below 39%. I mean, there were some admissions that my lung functions were 22, 23, 24%. You know, and when you can't walk from here to the door without gasping, when you can't have a shower because you can't breathe, you know, it's very, very scary. There was months on end that I couldn't wash my own hair because I was so breathless. I needed a seat in the shower a normal everyday thing that everyone takes for granted. I couldn't do it. It was the basics of life. Having a shower, washing my hair. And I wasn't capable a lot of the time because I was in so much pain and agony trying to breathe. And when you get to that point, things get really, really scary. And I couldn't help but start thinking about death. I was really, really scared, and I didn't know how fast I was going to keep progressing. Death scares me, if I'm honest. And I know a lot of CF patients that they're fine and they say, well, okay, when my time is up, but I'm not like that. Death really scares me, and I was on a downward spiral very, very quick, and no matter what I did, my body was not responding. My body, it was as if it was giving up on me. And, there was times that I thought, this is it, I'm not going to be alive in another 6 months' time. I'm not going to be here. So when I saw the opportunity when I had the opportunity to try Orkambi, obviously I grabbed it with both hands because I thought, okay, hopefully this can give me some of my life back. I never imagined for 1 minute that it would transform my life in the way that it has transformed my life. I mean, it's just incredible. It just dawned on me one day, a couple of months after taking Orkambi. I was doing my run as normal, and I was just like, hang on a second here. All of a sudden, I was conscious that I wasn't struggling. I wasn't gasping to get air in. I wasn't coughing. And I was like, hang on a second here, I'm actually able to breathe, and I could breathe deep. And I don't know how long I had been like that, because it just dawned on me that day, and I was just like, hang on a second. And the following day I did it again, and the same thing. I could breathe. I wasn't struggling the way that I had been struggling in the couple of years before I started Orkambi. Another pretty significant thing for me was getting out of bed every morning. Yes, you think, again, you don't, no healthy person gives that a second thought. They jump out of bed and they're fine. Before I started Orkambi, I couldn't just get up and jump out of bed, because if I did, I had to give myself 5 or 10 minutes to get my breathing under control, because I knew the minute I got up out of bed, I was going to go into one of these coughing attacks, and they could last anything between 10-15 minutes, and it would take ages for me just to catch my breath and just be able to breathe after lying still all night. And again, that just dawned on me. I was walking around and I was just like, hang on a second, I didn't cough this morning. Whoa. And the following morning, it was the same thing. And I gave myself a good month to 6 weeks, because I thought, maybe this is just coincidental. Maybe it's not the Orkambi. Maybe it's just because I'm feeling well. But yeah, to this day, it's now the 2nd of February 2016, and I can now get out of bed, and I could run up a flight of stairs and not be in a coughing attack anymore. And that's incredible, because, before, when I get out of bed, I'd need to go, after my coughing fit, I'd need to go straight away and do my first nebulizer of the day to open up my airways so that I can breathe. But now I can potter about for like an hour and not need to immediately do a nebulizer, because I can't breathe without it. So that's just two things that it's just really, really, it blows my mind every single day. My sinusitis has improved. I used to have chronic, constant sinus infections. Now, I still get sinus infections, but they don't last as long. They're cleared up within a couple of weeks, and I don't have as many of them. I also used to suffer quite badly from DIOS. Again, that hasn't really been an issue for me. I've had a couple of bouts, maybe 2 or 3 in the 2.5 years that I've been Orkambi, versus constant DIOS episodes. So, I mean, it's just my asthma got better. And really for me, my lung functions, as I did explain, they have dropped from 58% down to 39% the day that I started Orkambi. My baseline lung functions are now between 42 and 47, 48%. So not only have my lung functions increased by about 6 to 7%, but my progression has stopped completely. My lungs have not got any worse in the 2 years that I'm on Orkambi. Now, naturally, if I have an infection, they do drop, but they come back up. The problem before I started Orkambi, once I had an infection, they dropped and they didn't come back up. The most miraculous thing for me, and it's the thing that makes me pinch myself every single day. As I mentioned to you, when I started Orkambi, in the 3-4 years maybe before I started Orkambi, I was in hospital every 4 to 5 weeks. After a couple of months on Orkambi, that spread to 3 months, and I thought that was fantastic because I got 3 months out of hospital. It's like, yes, let's throw a party. In the last year, I've spent just 1 week in hospital. 1 week. I've had one exacerbation. So I had 1 week in hospital on intravenous antibiotics, and I was 1 week at home on intravenous antibiotics. Now that's 2 weeks in intravenous antibiotics versus off Orkambi 6 to 7, maybe 8 months intravenous antibiotics. I know that the HSE is worried about the cost of the drug, but it doesn't take a genius to do the maths there. 2 weeks IVs in the past year versus off Orkambi 6, 7, 8 months of IVs. Not only 8 months of IVs, 8 months, 6, 7, 8 months of hospital admissions, various procedures, possible surgeries, nursing staff, phlebotomists, everything, x-rays, CT scans. You take everything into account, the cost that it would cost, the cost of staying in hospital for those 6, 7, 8 months and versus 1 week. I mean, the cost of the drug is straight away, you get it back. You're talking about, the drug it'll be a net loss. It's not going to be a net loss. It's going to be a net saving. You're not going to lose money on it because whether it be a young patient that started or an older patient like me who's 39, I've had no admissions. 1 admission in the last year. And before that, my admissions had more than halved. My weight is stable for the first time in years. No progression. It's prevented me from being listed on the transplant list. So, you have to bring all these things into consideration. I know that, again, I know the drug is expensive. But I've had a fantastic quality of life for the past 2.5 years. I've lived a life that I've never known before because I've never had it before because I've always struggled with my CF. You cannot put a price tag on a quality of life. Quality of life is priceless. The quality of life I've had for the past 2.5 years is priceless. So do not put a price tag on my life or on the lives of the 60% of CF patients in Ireland who can benefit from this drug. Now, yes, we know it won't work for every patient, but you set up an evaluation process whereby a patient is monitored over a year to a year and a half, and I think that's enough time to see the real benefits. If after a year and a half a patient isn't benefiting from Orkambi, then you can stop the drug until maybe they start to progress and they need it. And then you're cutting out a lot of the cost there. There's no point someone taking a drug that there's no need for if they don't benefit from it. So please give your recommendation serious thought because my life is in your hands. The lives of 60% of patients in Ireland is in your hands. I want everyone who's eligible for this drug to have access to this drug. Cystic fibrosis patients fight every single day of their lives. I fight every single day of my life to survive. It's a very tough illness where you're constantly surrounded by hospital admissions and sickness. We shouldn't have to fight for something that's our right. We shouldn't have to fight to live based on the fact that a tablet, on one small tablet that can change our lives, and for someone to say it's too expensive. That is morally wrong. Our lives are worth more than that. We have fought, not only us, but our parents, our brothers and sisters, have fought tooth and nail to ensure that we are where we are. And one drug can make a difference to our lives. One drug. So don't make us fight for the right for something to give us an improved quality of life. As I said earlier, I'm extremely passionate about Orkambi. I'm passionate about patients in Ireland getting access to Orkambi, and I will continue to be passionate about it until everyone has access. I will not stop this fight. Patients in Ireland deserve the chance at living a quality of life. A quality of life that one tablet can make a difference to. Don't make us fight for this when some of us don't have the energy to fight. Some patients don't have that energy. I have that energy because Orkambi has changed me. And I will continue this fight until all patients in Ireland have access to it. Thanks a million for listening, and hopefully the decision will be made in a couple of months, and hopefully it's good news. Thanks.